everybody, how's it going? We're here with a timeless reading. If there's a sign that's sticking out to me, I will put that sign in the beginning of the title. If it does not have a particular sign in the title, it is a collective reading for everybody. All right, we're starting off with Nine of Swords and Page of Swords. It looks like there's something that you're facing here. This could be bringing up awareness about something that you could be worried about, or something that may scare you a bit, or something that could feel overwhelming or intense in some way. This is feeling kind of like a plutonic vibe to me. It looks like you're learning about these things and maybe doing something with it. Maybe you're also doing something that, whatever this is that you're stepping into or moving forward with, it could be like bringing up some spooky stuff for you. Having this Nine of Swords here, like this Nine of Swords card particularly looks like a worry about what could happen or a fear about what could happen, but from a space of something being like broken down or broken apart, which means then that it's going to like transform into something else. Yeah, this card is really giving me Pluto type of vibes, where there would be like the breaking down or like the disintegration of something that you're learning about, but you could be seeing where you're still holding on to something. Like, it worries me to have to let go of that, or it brings up fears for me to see this thing sort of like changing within its cycle, because you know nothing is stagnant, even if it appears to be, you know, like we look at a rock and it looks the same that it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, this thing that may look very similar to us, but everything has its cycle, everything has its life cycle, and everything is constantly moving and also constantly changing form as well. So maybe something at first brought up something that felt intense, like, wow, that's a lot of feeling. It's almost even hard for me to process immediately. Like, look at this card, you know? It's really intense. It's hard for me to process. I almost don't even want to look at it, like that type of thing. But if you look more closely at the card, what's happening is that something is being broken down. And so it's like going back to the earth in some way, or it's going back to some type of, I don't know, like being brought to ashes or disintegrating, like that type of thing. And so this means that it's going to then like regenerate as its next form. But you could be seeing something that's in the process of being broken down. And again, this could be, you may be in a space where you're looking at this and being like, I'm seeing that I've still been holding on to it because I feel scared thinking about this changing or thinking about this breaking down. Because you know that this thing isn't going to break down and nothing's going to happen. You know that breaking down is just the cycle of rebirth. And so it's going to then transform into something else. It doesn't just go nowhere. So it feels like there's an awareness here of, like, I was holding on to this, like I was attached to this in the way that it was, how it was presenting to me, and now I'm gaining an understanding or an awareness sort of what's occurring. So this feels like learning through something that you could have felt put off by initially, or something that could have brought up fear, something that could have felt pretty intense, or something that could have felt difficult to process initially. Learning from the intensity of this, because it definitely feels like this gets some type of strong reaction from you, and it could even feel like terrifying at moments too, just looking at this. But if you get down to the bottom of what felt so scary and terrifying, was actually this like lack of willingness, or like this stubbornness when it came to allowing this to break down in the way that it needed to break down in a necessary way. Having Page of Swords feels like you in a space where you're like observing this happening, where you're learning about this happening, where you're understanding how your thoughts are sort of intertwined with what's happening. This also feels like a mental transformation that's happening as well. And then when we have this card coming out, like you may be seeing just the cyclical nature of things and how it's like, you know, it's like the infinity sign, how it just keeps going and going and going and going and like changing form, but it's always like the same matter, it's the same stuff. It just like the way that it looks or the way that it presents or what it's doing may change, but it like never gets off of this track. Having Page of Swords here can mean too that this is going to inspire something really important within you because you're like learning and understanding this. It's almost like you're in this life class right now where you're like, wow, I'm seeing what's going on, and this is one of those really intense lessons where like I don't want to look at it, but I can't look away. This feels like it's gripping me in some way. So there's an intensity to it. So you could feel like mentally locked in. Then having Page of Swords also come up, which having both of these pages, these are both feminine energies where it's like receptive, receiving what's going on and like understanding your thoughts that are connected with it, and then also understanding like what you want to do about this, because we have the air energy, which is like, what am I thinking about this? How am I understanding? What am I absorbing? What am I observing through this? Like, how is this connected to that? Like those types of things, like the mental experience that you have and what you learn from this. And then also having Page of Wands, that's associated with you allowing this to ignite a flame within you, to connect to something within you that you're then going to do something with that. Like, now I'm going to go this way with that because of this. So it feels like very intense in the beginning, may bring up a lot of intense feelings for you, can also feel like having to let go of something. This can also be letting go of control, letting go of a preference that you can't apply to this because just what's happening is going to happen, like that type of thing. Learning from this experience, and then I'm also seeing that's going to inform you with where you're going, because I also see Page of Wands as like the path that you're going to be walking down. So it feels like this could be giving you some sense of direction. Not initially though. I'm seeing Hanged Man. This means that there's still time to understand more about this and where this is leading and where this is heading. And it also says too that initially when you experience something, it may come off as one way, and that may just be your kind of like instinctive reaction to it. But then through this process, there's going to be like a deeper understanding, like getting to the core of this. So this also means too that it may be bringing in another viewpoint that you didn't have before either. And that's also going to be very valuable too. I'm seeing you're going to be walking away from this situation feeling like you gained something very valuable that's connected with sense of self, even because I'm seeing this be connected with Queen of Wands, which means that this is going to inform you of your self. Oh yeah, I'm seeing you getting over something big time here. I'm also seeing the moon coming out. So we have a lot of Pisces here. We have both the Hanged Man, which is Neptune, which is the modern ruler of Pisces, and then we also have the moon, which represents Pisces. I'm seeing 10 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. So this can feel like something is going to be stabilizing for you, soon to be stabilizing for you. I'm also getting like a very plutonic energy here too. So you can feel like you're just going through something kind of intense right now. There could have been a fear of you going in a particular direction, but the fear could have been associated with like giving something up, or with like releasing something, like allowing it to go but not leave you, allowing it to actually change form in the way that it needed to. Like you could have been holding on to something, being like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And now that these energies are connecting, it's telling you like, this is what you're meant to be doing right now. This is where you're meant to be going. And that's going to feel like it resonates more so with you. Having the Queen of Wands be coming up, and it's interesting too because there's a whole lot of feminine energy, which is about you being receptive right now, not you needing to do this and that, and also to the Hanged Man, which is like wait and look, wait and observe, wait and sort of like allow things to settle in and look at where things are going, like that type of thing, rather than I need to do something now, rather than that. I'm also seeing too that this cycle is soon to be ending. It feels like you're going through some type of ambiguous, like unknown situation. I'm hearing the word curvature, and it could feel like there are a lot of unknowns going on. Like there's a lot of stuff that's still in the dark that you're not meant to know about yet, that light is being brought to this, but it feels like exploring some type of like dark area is what I'm seeing. Dark meaning like a lack of awareness of what's in there, like a lack of light still. So it's sort of like a void that's being explored, or like a black hole that's being explored, or just something that we don't know what we're gonna find in there. But that's where we're going, and that's what we're doing right now. So this can be also too like a lot of stuff that's coming up for you where you're like, I'm starting to remember things, I'm starting to realize these things, I'm seeing that this is resonating with me, and I don't completely understand why, but I'm feeling like it does for some reason, and so I'm going to explore that. I do feel like there could have been, I feel like the energy of this is like old Queen of Wands versus new Queen of Wands. Like you could have been in an energy where it was time for you to shed something, but you could have been holding on to it because that would have meant allowing it to sort of transform into its next form. And you may have been stuck in that of like, I don't want to let it go, I don't want to let it go. But what I'm seeing is that like through understanding that it's not just going to disappear, you're not going to lose this, it's just changing a form. And so it's not abandoning you in any way, it's just the form of it is shifting. It feels like there's a realization of that. Like at first I looked at this and I was terrified, and that's all that I like understood about that, was just that this felt like bad to me in some way. Now I'm seeing with the Hanged Man, which means too, like Hanged Man is associated with Neptune. Neptune, when it's in its like less evolved energy, can be like making up these fantasies about things and like not seeing how it really is. And so it can be like making up these stories about what this is, and you need to stay away from it because it's like scary, and it's something that you feel repulsed by, or like whatever this is that represents, like it brings up fear for me and all of that. But there's like not a full understanding, because Neptune is like, let me just like confabulate or like make up these things that I don't actually know, instead of going in deeper to it. But with the more evolved energy of Neptune, it means that there's this like spiritual understanding, like this high spiritual evolution, this high spiritual enlightenment that we gain, where we can really actually see what's going on from like a spiritual like cognition, like that type of thing, where we're understanding the energetics of something and we're seeing through the illusion of just like the physical form of things, that can distract us from what's really going on at times if we're just taking it at face value without seeing what's going on within the deeper mechanics of it. And so what I'm seeing happening here is that at first something could have been like really repulsive in some way. You could have felt like the the magnetics of it like pushed you away, because this was something that felt really strong, and it felt like it strongly even pushed you away. Like it brought up intensity, it brought up fear, like those types of things. Now what I'm seeing is happening is that as you're actually like moving towards it and taking a closer look, you're seeing that what was actually so scary was that something is changing here, and something is being broken down, and it's going to be evolving into like its next form of energy. And that also means too that you're learning more about yourself. You're learning more about, I see Queen of Wands as being like, sort of what you have going on and what you're doing, and like what's inspiring you currently to live your life and to do the things that you do, like why you act the way that you do, like why your attitude is the way that you do, why you create in the way that you do. I see Queen of Wands as like all of that like life force type of energy, and how you are giving that off, like what's important to you, what matters to you, what drives you, what inspires you, like those types of things. So it feels like you may be like living for something else. Like there's sort of a change in what matters to you or what you care about, and I'm seeing definitely like a shedding that happens. And it feels like this is giving you permission to actually step into something that you want to step into without the old energy sort of like weighing you down and restricting you. So this was actually like a fear of your own evolution. So you could definitely see this as being like your ego's involvement in things. But I do feel a sense of like now you're giving yourself permission to pursue a path that you want to pursue. But I'm also seeing the moon here too. So this could have been like a whole thing that was going on with your ego, where your ego's like, I'm going to show you this thing that's really scary, so you run away from it. So you don't go this way, because we don't really know what's going to happen if you go in that direction. And for a moment, you could have been like really like falling into that of like, this is so terrifying and all of this stuff, and maybe even like taking a couple steps back. Now I'm seeing you be at a point where you're like, wow, I'm really understanding like why I felt repulsed by this in the first place, like why I felt like I needed to take those steps back. And it's realizing that you're stepping into something where you don't really know exactly what this is. However, you know that you're being called in this direction. You know that something within you is like driving you this way. And it feels like now you're allowing yourself to do this. And now you're realizing what your hang up was in the first place. And I'm seeing this as something that's going to be, 10 of Pentacles shows this is going to be something very valuable to you. This is going to be something that holds a significant amount of meaning to you as well, and it's something that's very much going to matter to you. Taking inspired action and tuning in and listening to what's driving you, and that you've been being driven in this particular direction. This thing seems like it was like a bit of a roadblock, because your ego was like, if we go there, I don't know what's going to be happening, or what's in there, or what's going to be down that road, and what if I can't protect you, you know, like all of these things. It feels like there are also a lot of connections that you've been making as well. Now I'm seeing you like getting over whatever this is, like getting over this anxiety about it, getting over this fear about it, because you know that this is calling to you and this is what you're going to be doing. And you know that that also makes it worth, like, this is something where you're like, I feel inspiration because of this. I feel motivation because of this. I want to get up and do this. It's like that type of thing. It's like the thing that makes you want to live your life. And you know that that's how you recognize it's resonating with you. So it feels like this is also about tuning in and listening, and that this just like confirmed for you what it is that you have going on here. Is there anything else that we can get about this? I want to see further if we can get anything else about the moon. Moon can be like untapped things, unexplored things, unknowns that you're moving into, like the revealing of things, peeking behind the veil. This looks like it's going to be a continuation of work that you've been doing. But the form can be a little bit different. But I'm seeing the moon be associated with like stuff that you have done up until this point is going to be very relevant to what this is that you're now in the midst of exploring, or like beginning to explore. It feels like giving yourself permission. Like also communicating with your ego too, and being like I understand what's going on with you, why this felt scary to you, and also this is what we're going to be doing. So it's like your will having control actually of the situation, and you being very informed of what's going on here. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.